Hello and welcome everyone. Very happy that we are all together again. In this tutorial, we will continue our tips related to the HVAC layout design and the Revit, as what we did on the previous tutorial was about the diffuser vertical position or its position related to the vertical height from the upper floor or from the down floor or from the suspended ceiling. And now let's continue with the diffuser position on the plan view. And for that, let's open the same plan that we opened previously on the previous tutorial. So the first thing we need to know is that the diffuser will be inserted instead of one of these square shapes that we have. So that diffuser may be inserted at that position, or it may be inserted at that position, for example, or at that position, or instead of any one of those square shapes. And for that reason, the diffuser itself and the square shape must have the same dimensions. And we can check that by measuring the distance from that tab here, which is the measure tab, and start from that point, for example, to that point. So we will find that this distance is about 600 millimeter, and also we can measure the distance from that point to that point. So we will find that it's exactly 60 centimeter. And for the diffuser, we can do the same thing by measuring the distance from that point to that point, and it's exactly 16 centimeter. And we can measure the distance also here, this vertical distance from that point to that point, and it's also 60 centimeter. So the square shape dimensions is 60 by 60, and the diffuser dimensions is 60 also by 60 centimeter. So the diffuser is positioned exactly at the square shape position. But if we need to do that operation of inserted the diffuser, there may be a shifting between the diffuser edges and the square shape edges. For example, let's try to do that by dragging the diffuser here and position it, for example, at this position. So you may say that the diffuser is exactly positioned at the position of the square shape, but if we zoom in, we will find that there is an offset between here the diffuser edge and the square shape edge from that side, and also a shift from that left side. So they may not be aligned exactly on each other, and the design will not be an accurate one. And to make that aligning operation between the diffuser and the square shape more accurate one, we easily go to the Align tab. So we are at the Modify main tab, and from it we check the Aligning tab here. And now the aligning operation is done across two steps. Firstly, we select the first reference or the first fixed object that we need the second object to be aligned to. So we can select that edge here, and then we select an edge from the second object that we need to align. So we need to align that diffuser here, and then press left click into it. So you can see that the diffuser is exactly aligned with the square shape with no offset or no shift. And also you can notice that we have this lock sign, and by pressing on this locking sign, we will find that the locking operation has been done, or we are at the locking mode now. And this means I cannot move the diffuser from its position at the horizontal axis. For example, if I select the diffuser and I need to move it, you will find that an error has been occurred here that tells us that we have some constraints on the diffuser at the x-axis. So it tells us that if we need to move the diffuser, we need to remove the constraints, but we don't need to remove it. So we will press on cancel, and that's about locking the diffuser or locking our object at the x-axis. But to lock our diffuser at the y-axis, we need to align it also from that edge. And for that, we go to the aligning operation again, and then select the first fixed object, which is this one, and the second thing is to select the movable object, which is that edge of the diffuser. So you will find that we have aligned the diffuser also exactly at the upper edge of the square shape that we have. And to lock it also, to prevent moving it, we press on that lock here. So by that way, we cannot move the diffuser anyway at the x-axis or the y-axis. So if we try to move it, for example, here we select the diffuser, we will find that we have a lock at the x-axis and a lock on the y-axis. And if we try to move it, we will find that we cannot move it anyway unless we remove the constraints. Very good. Now let's press on cancel. So that's about inserting the diffuser. But what about if we need, for example, to distribute 8 diffusers into our ceiling here? Here to do so, we need to copy our diffuser, and to copy our diffuser, we can select it and then press on that tab, which is the copying tab. And now it asks us for the point that we need to pick the diffuser from which. So we can pick the diffuser from this center point, or from this corner point, or from that point, or from any point that we need. So if we select this point, so it will be the first point that we will copy the diffuser from it, and we can select the second point, for example, to be that point here, so we can press into it. And here we have managed to copy our diffuser. So for the copying operation, we select the first point, or the picking point, and we select the second point, which is the insertion point. Also, we can copy those two diffusers at one time by pressing on the first diffuser and then press Ctrl on the keyboard and press on the second diffuser, and then go to the copy tab again. And here it asks us for the point that we need to pick the diffusers from it. So we can pick them from that point, for example. And here it asks us for the insertion point that we need to insert the diffusers at which, so we can insert them at this point, for example. And by that way we have pasted the diffusers very well. Also, we can copy those four diffusers and paste them again, but for the copying operation for multiple objects that we have, or for any object, we have more than one way. The first way is to press on Ctrl and select each one of them to select a multiple object, but we have more easier way, which is the right drag method or the left drag method. So for the right drag method, we easily press a left click onto our mouse and then drag here to include our objects. So by that way we can include our objects by the right drag method, and we can also select our objects by the left drag method, and at that method we press a left click also and then drag here to the left, so we can select our object by the same way. So let's select here those four air terminals and then select this point, for example, to be the picking point. And then we can select the insertion point that we need. But you can notice here, when we select the insertion point, or when we move on our layout, we can move freely at any direction on the 360 degrees. But if we need to make a precise copying operation to move only on the X and Y directions, we can press on this constraint tab here. So by that way you can see we are only able to move at the X direction or the Y direction. So we can move at the Y direction here, and we can move at the X direction only. Or we can remove the constraints to move anyway, so that's up to you. And here we can insert our diffusers at that position, for example. So by that way we have managed to copy our diffuser by any way that we need. But you can tell me now, what is the difference between the right selection method and the left selection method? Here I say that when I drag from the right to left and I select the object, the whole object will be selected even if I didn't select the whole object. So let's try it again. Here I have selected only a part of that object, or I have selected it partially, and although that, the whole object has been selected. So for the left selection method, you can select the whole object by selecting only a part of it. But on the other hand, if we try the right selection method, we can see that if I select a part of the object, the part hasn't been selected. This is because at the right selection method, we need to select the whole of the object to be selected. So for the right selection method, we select the whole of the object to be selected, while on the left selection method, we need only to select a part of the object for the total object to be selected. Very good. Also, we have the moving order, and for that, let's select those four air terminals to move them. And to move them, we easily press on that move tab, and then let's activate the constraints. So we are moving now on the X and the Y directions only, and then we can specify the picking point from which we need to pick our objects or our air terminals, and then we can insert them at that position, for example. So by that way we have moved our air terminals. Very good. So that's about some tips related to the layout design. How that's clear right now. Thank you for watching and see you next tutorials.